All right, we're back at the Peace Build, and I have another guest from the UK, right?
Yeah, I'm from the UK, yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is a shadow work series where we talk about things you need to uncover, maybe from your unconscious, or just pulling on threads about anything that's bothering you in health, wealth, relationships, anything like that. So when this comes up to your mind, what comes up for you lately?
Well, something that has been just basically been my whole life right now,
Okay.
and this is a new development since we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think for me on this journey, it's always changing, like it's always developing. I I I don't know. Sometimes a new concept or a new idea will come,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll realize that it was really what I had been looking for.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't always happen. It's not like this happens every week. Do you know what I mean? Like I could go for years, or no, maybe not years. I haven't been on that journey that long, but months or to a year, like
Mm-hmm.
not almost like not allowing myself to open up to a new concept because I'm like stuck. It's like
Mm-hmm.
somehow I've attached my ego or my pride to the concept or some sort of.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is probably a bit convoluted and doesn't matter that much.
Well,
Point is,
it definitely matters. That's why you brought it up.
it's true. But I just mean sometimes I have the tendency to ramble a bit, like speak about things in a bit of a roundabout way. Do you know what I mean? I don't always get to the point necessarily, maybe.
I mean, I feel like the point you made was valid because I think a lot of us do that. I've done that myself. Just, is it you're tying your sense of security or identity to a certain idea?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that is the conditioning of our education system and our economy. That's what keeps the whole illusion going. So it's definitely not a small thing you brought up.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing. So basically, it's basically I've been listening to the audiobook. Because I was able to get it for free. I don't know if you've heard of it, but Letting Go by David Hawkins. Have you heard of this book? It's
Mm-hmm.
he's the guy who came up with the map of consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
And I had never really, I realized I had been coming at this spiritual angle,
Mm-hmm.
motivated by my guilt and shame.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I was, it's almost like I was like, so right, like I stopped being angry, but it wasn't because I stopped being angry, it was because I started directing my anger at myself and just repressing my anger even more. So I was telling myself, no, anger is bad. If you're spiritual, you don't get angry. But I wasn't actually happy or peaceful.
Yeah.
I was just suppressing my anger even more. And I know, and the same with and then if I did get angry, I'd become guilty and shame about the fact that I was angry. Or if I would try to meditate and angry thoughts or something like frustration came up, I would become guilty and shame about that. Or a constant cycle of guilt and shame based around not doing the work and feeling like a terrible person because I'm not meditating, I'm not spiritual. I see, look at you, you're terrible. You just want to distract yourself and numb yourself, and obviously I've struggled with addiction my whole life, and I think a lot of addiction is rooted in shame and guilt, and then that would then make me turn even more to the addiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like for me, struggling with porn and masturbation, I still ongoing, like ongoing in the sense that I know I'm not free. Well, I mean, freedom isn't just mean like it's yeah, still ongoing. And listening to this book has really opened up my awareness. So I guess I don't really know what my question is, but I guess I just want to talk about this topic right now because this is so, and especially guilt and shame. and not realizing how probably most of us are ridden with guilt and shame, and even the spiritual, like, you know, spiritual people, right? Religious people, like people on this journey, probably watching your videos right now, probably going through similar things. And then also then developing spiritual pride, spiritual ego, like, you know, and like how do you, I wonder if you've dealt with this, and or I'm sure you have thoughts on this, and like you,
Yeah.
so possibly you could share that.
So for me, spirituality is not about following a certain pattern of behavior, and if you don't, then you feel guilty. It's not about following a teacher. It's not about following a book. It's just about not deceiving yourself. And deception is taking your eyes off the mark, away from the point. And even the word sin, it's an archery term that means missing the mark. And if we are spiritual beings, then taking your attention off of the spirit, this is the primary form of deception. And this happens through identification with the mind and the body. But it's not a coincidence that so many of us feel this way, because it is in our conditioning of education and economy and the media to pay attention to everything else but the spirit. And I feel that these feelings of guilt and shame over a prolonged period of time, I feel like we can condense those into just fatigue. Because for me, when I was going through that, I just felt tired all the time.
Yeah, and I've been dealing with what they call long COVID. For me, it's basically just a chronic fatigue syndrome.
Right.
And coming to realize that this emotional suppression and this emotional weight, there is no room for energy. Like there is, and in fact, David Hawkins talking about it takes a lot of energy to even keep these emotions suppressed.
Right.
So like, yeah, for me, I'm like, yeah, this guilt and shame when you're in this state, there is no room for energetic or loving expression or creativity or anything like that, you know?
Right. So the solution is rejuvenation. And just as we rejuvenate a piece of electrical, an electrical device, we plug the cord into the outlet and then it rejuvenates even if the battery is dead. We have to plug our attention back into the source. You know? And this is what will relieve the guilt and the shame, because now your attention is right on the mark. It's right on the money. Not in terms of what we've been conditioned to pay attention to, but in terms of what life is moving towards, which is disillusion of the ego. This microphone, if it wasn't plugged up to anything, it would be separate from the whole system of recording that we have here. But as soon as you plug it up, then it becomes one with the system and it plays its part. And there is no sense of fatigue because it's plugged into this infinite power source. So where do you find that your attention is going? If you could do an audit.
Well, obviously, since I've been listening to this book, I've been practicing letting go.
Yeah.
So my attention is recently has been going just onto purely sensation, purely feeling my. But let's talk about, you know, for the last 4 years, before literally the last 2 days, my attention would go to the problem, but my always trying to rationalize the problem, like, and always creating a story about the problem, and creating a story about myself, you know, oh, I'm like this, or this is because, you know, like, or trying to find a solution with thought, not being able to, and then feeling confused, stuck, lost, and then using it to justify, like using it to tell myself a story about like why I'm so trapped and I can't do anything and I have no agency, if that makes sense. Because I would tell myself, oh well, I'm feeling this pain in my body and I'm tired all the time, and I need to know what's going on with me. But I've tried the conventional doctors, because in the UK we have like a free healthcare service, but it's pretty terrible. And then so I'm like, oh well, I need to find a doctor, more specialized doctor, but that's going to cost loads of money, and I can't work because I'm tired all the time, so I'm trapped and there's nothing I can do. And I would go in this cycle, and then that would cause like self-hatred and like even more shame, because so like the attention would go always on it's not like, because it's the attention going on the problem isn't necessarily, but it's like the attention would go on the on like making the problem be a problem, like resisting the problem, like there was always resistance, always. If I feel bad, I have to change that immediately, or there's something wrong with me. And like I could have never been able to accept negative feelings or negative emotions, or even just feeling bad in my body. It's always, I always had to run away from it. Always had to, or change, or like so meditation was always motivated by needing to change because I was wrong, because there was something wrong with me. It was never motivated by a lovingness or by a compassion for myself. It was motivated by a self-hatred in a way. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. And these are all symptoms of a deeper problem, which is a lack of understanding of where the problem comes from. Like, where does it originate from? And we're talking about stories, about self-hatred, going in a loop. These are all generated from your perception of your own life. So I feel that the solution here is to return and come back home to the center. These are things that we've talked about before. But there seems to be a certain pull of familiarity towards stimulants that make you feel a sense of despair and a sense of disconnection from the source. And it seems that because you've been dealing with this for a long time, you've developed an association with this pattern of behavior and these patterns of perceiving yourself and perceiving the world. And the clinging to this is the whole problem. If you let these things go, then you will be able to see more options that you have available. And I guess this is why you're reading the book Surrender. Is that right?
Yeah. Letting go. Halfway to surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, well, actually, I started reading it because one of my friends sent it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been trying to practice. I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Dispenza.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been practicing his meditations for a while now and following his sort of spiritual guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
And something always felt wrong. Something always felt, I don't know. It always felt like I was having to fight. Like it felt like I would take an enormous amount of effort, right? Like it always felt like such a fight to do. And I was like, something felt wrong about that. Like something felt as though it was it was requiring too much willpower, and there was something about his way of seeing things that I think almost propagated some of the negative aspects of my psyche, of the guilt and the shame, because it was like, it's very much looking at, it's basically saying right and wrong, like positive feeling right, negative feeling wrong. So then it kind of just, it made the negative feeling, me judge myself for having negative feelings, because I'm like, oh, why? I should be happy all the time, right? Like, because that's how I'm going to heal. So if I'm feeling bad, that means I'm not healing and I'm doing something wrong. And there was something you said about a familiarity with certain stimulants that lead to a sense of.
You have a certain relationship with density of energy and thought and patterns of behavior. And the more you invest in this, the more you take on their qualities. But if you just retrieve your resource, which is attention, and you bring it back to the source, you can redirect it towards things that lift you up. You can invest in subtlety.
Would you mind? I mean, I'm sure you've spoken about this on your channel a lot. I'm not. Would you mind, like, if you don't, obviously it's your choice, of course, but like, just like re-explaining like what you mean by density and subtlety, because it's not. I'm not sure if it's a concept you came up with, but I don't hear it spoken about too often.
Yeah. So density and subtlety is just the spectrum of energy, and everything is just one energy, and it's all connected. So a dense form of energy would be this microphone. We can see it. It's clear as day, has a clear boundary, and it's weighed down by gravity to a certain extent.
So like all material things are dense energy.
Well, it's a spectrum. So
Right.
this is a certain form of density. There's a certain form of consolidation here, but my voice is also a material object, but it's more subtle. There's less weight. It doesn't remain as long. It appears and disappears quickly, and this is because it's more spiritual in a way than this microphone, as it appears to our senses. So there are certain things you can consume that make you feel more dense, that drag you down to the earth, like alcohol, like dramatic television, like having a short attention span, addiction, things like this. And what I have found is that all of these things are trying to give you a sense of stability on Earth. Because if you don't have enough density, you feel like you're just floating around. You have no idea what's going on. But when we look at how life works, we can see that things actually are the most liberated and the most organized when things become more subtle. Even the thing that's powering the sun right now, it appears to be floating. Or the thing that's powering the earth is the sun, and it appears to be just floating in space. It's a subtle thing. And if going back to the point of us being spiritual beings, we do have a body and a mind, but the position we're supposed to be in is having oversight over the material world. If we don't have an oversight over the material, then we will become a slave to it.
Yeah. So, thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I see. I see exactly what you mean, and yeah, I appreciate your ability to paint a picture
Yeah. Thanks,
in
man.
that way.
She's my gift.
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, no, I guess then a question would be, you say the solution is to come. Well, actually, no. What did you say? You didn't say that the solution would be to come back to subtlety. You said to come back to source or something,
Yeah.
and like, which I guess is a similar would okay. Essentially, what I'm asking is it basically just meditate? Like, what do you what is pragmatically, like, what do you suggest to someone, or what is your, do you know what I'm trying to say? What should they do, right? But it's not. It's less about an action, right? Because you could tell me to go and meditate, and like I've been meditating for years, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean it's like what. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I think a first practical step would be to create an audit of what is dragging you down. What are you paying attention to? What are you investing in that's pulling you towards density? And you have to be brutally honest with yourself. This is something I did also. So you live for a week, you keep a list on you, and every single time your attention gets drifted away from the mark, which in this case would be the source, you write
Okay,
it down.
can you explain that a little bit?
Okay, so if I'm going throughout my day and my intention is to balance so I can heal and heal other people. Now, every time I get tempted to go off balance, I make a note of what that was, what the stimulant was that pulled me out. So if I'm in the grocery store, my intention is to get fruits and vegetables, but I buy ice cream. I write down, okay, I have a relationship with ice cream, a negative relationship with food. And then in another moment, you want to just be with the person you're speaking with. You want to give them all of your attention, but then you get an Instagram notification and it takes you out of the flow state of having this conversation. And now you make another note that says, okay, Instagram, I have to limit that, or I have to turn off my notifications. And if you look throughout your day, it could be 20 things, it could be 30 things that are taking you off. And the more things you find, the better.
Okay. So like, but is it so? For you, is that like is that all like a control? Are you talking about a controlling of external things here? Like we're arranging our external, like this is to do with external things. Is that this audit, not internal?
It deals with both, because the stimulant is an external thing that we can manage. But at the internal level, we can observe that there's a certain relationship, there's a certain affinity that we have developed inside about this stimulant. And when we become clear about what that is and what it produces, then now we can become aware of temptation instead of just being tempted.
Okay. What if we, so for you, but what is source? What does source mean to you? Is that like another way of saying God or something? Is that your like divine? Is that am I interpreting that right or no?
These are using the word God and divine in the universe. They can be confusing because I feel for a lot of people it alludes to a certain form,
Yeah,
a
I
physical
agree.
form.
I agree.
And this is why I love to use the word silence, because it's nothing. It's not a thing. Spirituality relates to the non-physical. So when I meditate, all I'm doing is taking my attention away from stimulation and bringing it towards that silence, towards that void that we're all trying so hard to avoid. And this is my daily practice. This is my moment by moment practice. Is anytime I get too caught in stimulation, I have to remind myself I have to come back and remember what is the actual structure of this experience. Not what we have been told by marketing agencies and the military industrial complex. What is the actual structure of existence? And the basis of this is awareness. And awareness is formless. So if you develop a relationship, if you develop an affinity with being aware, then all of these tiny addictions that you have, slowly, it won't happen all at once, but they will slowly dissolve. And then you'll be free. Free from density.
And for you, awareness is because I guess I didn't understand this necessarily, or it was so ingrained into me to like make judgments, even the tiniest of judgments, like, and I wasn't even aware, like, you know, obviously big judgments, but then it's even like judging someone, right? And then I noticed that, and then I judge myself for judging that person.
Yeah.
Not realizing that judging myself was also a judgment. Like aware of certain judgments, but then not aware of how ingrained that is to like to make judgments about everything in our life, like good, bad, you know, like awareness is free from that, right? Like awareness is just a noticing without making any form of narrative or story or like there's no, right, it just is, and it's not, doesn't mean anything necessarily and inherently to it. Like the meaning only comes from the judgment or the story, the mind, like the thoughts, right? But is that something you would agree with? And what is your opinion on like the separation between like what some people would call ego, mind, body, like self, like all these things? Like, do you believe that we are the body, we are separate from the body, like our ego is a construct? Like how would you view these certain things? Because I feel like there's a lot of conflicting, sometimes there's some conflicting.
Yeah. So awareness is like the container of form. So we have a body, we have a mind, but it's not who we are. Because we have awareness, we're able to accumulate a certain amount of density and exist as a human being. It's the storehouse, but it is also the programmer of these programs that are in our head. The sounds of judgment that we hear within ourselves, they're just programs. And we have.
So wait.
What'd you say?
Sorry. Oh, are you saying awareness is the program?
Yeah, it's like the software developer.
I see.
And the thoughts of judgment is just a certain software. And we have the fortune of being the developer. We're aware of it, which means we can destroy or make disappear the software by coming back to the source where there is no sound. And then we can create a new one that is fit for how we want to live, how we best see.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense, yeah. Sometimes I definitely struggle to, like, conceptually, like, you know, I'm told I am the awareness behind my thoughts. But you know, like, experientially, it can be very difficult to actually
Yeah.
live that, like, you know, experience that. I mean, because like sometimes, especially for me, I don't know about you, but I know I am someone who feels things very strong. I'm a sensitive person. So like, oftentimes an emotion it feels like it's everything. Like there is nothing else, and there is no, I cannot exist outside of that emotion sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
And like it's very hard, and even with like my physical health, like right now sitting in this car, you know, I have a myriad of symptoms, you know, just general discomfort in my body. It's very hard to not to say that's not me, right? Like I know it can happen, but and I believe that it is possible, and I will get there, and I'm starting to, but I think probably most people find it very hard not to. Like they can conceptually understand, maybe, you know, they are the awareness, but like actually really in day-to-day life, like, you know, you get into an argument with, oh, you know, something, when you're living in the world as an ego, probably most people are not going to be able to, like, are not perceiving it as the awareness, right? They are perceiving it as themself, right? Their body, their ideas, right? Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and even in meditation, right? In those moments, sure, like now I have moments where, like, yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm the awareness, but then, you know, it switches right off as soon as I'm like driving down the road or something, and do you know what I mean?
So you've experienced it before.
What, like being the awareness behind my,
Yeah.
oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the problem is just sustaining that knowing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how long do you invest in that state? What's the
Good
ratio?
question.
What is the ratio between you remembering your awareness and you doing something that isn't of that nature?
It depends. In fact, recently I've probably been in the last few days since I've been listening to Letting Go. I've been probably more awareness than not awareness,
Okay.
right? Like I've been dropping back, and I've been letting go basically. And I think what I've come to see is that his whole concept of letting go is mindfulness at its core. Really, it's a non-judgmental awareness. But obviously before that, you know, majority of the time, obviously, I would spend it not, you know,
Yeah.
trying to run away most of the time, like, because I'm always trying to resist what I feel. If I feel something negative, that is the feeling of the need to not feel that is so intense that it's almost like I don't want to be aware, right? I want to distract myself. I want something, you know, whether that be other people, just anything, right? So I see your point. You're saying, if I understand correctly, you're saying obviously if you're spending more time not in that state, then it has to be like you have to teach yourself that you are this awareness. It's not just going to happen. If I'm
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, you are both the student and the teacher. And you also have to understand that your worth moving into that state of freedom. There is a sense in an ego that doesn't feel like it deserves to be free, because we are it's just sentiment. There's just a sentimental relationship with being distracted. There's almost a comfort in that, like you said. And I think that if there is a certain story around spirituality that is going to be all positivity and easygoingness, you're going to be deceived, because you're going to continue to just look for that only. And you won't be able to move through the pain, because part of the agreement, this is how I say it, part of the agreement from transitioning from an ego-based life to an awareness-based life is you have to give everything up that you did while you were behaving as just an ego. And this process of giving up is a withdrawal process. So you have to go through the pain of this intoxication, moving towards sobriety. Like even when someone is addicted to cocaine and they want to become sober, there is a withdrawal process from that stimulant that they need to go through to become sober. This is like, this is the only catch that life has installed, is that you have to go through what it is you're running from to get to where you really want to be. So even the world, the senses, the nature, this podcast, all the possessions we have, everything, it is intoxicating us, and it is causing us to forget that there is a non-physical dimension that is beyond all of this physicality. And this is where sobriety happens, by spending time in that state of eternal sobriety, which is always here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this this concept, I haven't, I'm only grasping this concept now, or this, yeah. I think there has been a undertone of not being able to accept, I don't even know what it is, but just this projection of this idea of like, of if I do spiritual practices, I am going to be happy and free, and that's it, right? Like it's just like it's almost like there's been almost like this kind of bargaining, this idea of like bargaining, of like, I do this and then I am rewarded with this type thing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and not, yeah.
This is a very,
heavy truth.
go ahead.
I just said it's a heavy truth.
Yeah, and this is a very economic way of looking at spirituality.
Yeah.
But this is not the economy. This is not a human-based economy. This is a relationship between the creator and the created. We have to submit to that highest power. The only trade is that we have to give away illusions. That's the only trade.
Yeah.
But to
I
bargain...
think for a long time...
Oh, go ahead.
I think for a long time, I was convincing myself that I was surrendering, or that I was giving things up. But actually, I was just suppressing it and like pushing it away, if that makes sense to you. And I feel like I worry that I don't know how to know if I'm just pushing something away or I'm letting it go. Does that make sense to you? Like, because I think they're very different things. And I'm like, I think for a long time, all I've been doing is just pushing everything away, like pushing away relationships, like running away from like pushing down my feelings, thinking that that was letting go. Well, maybe I didn't even think I was letting it go. I don't know, but that's what I was doing. So now I feel like I have there is a fear that letting things go is me doing the same thing. It's not, but like, is there a way that we can can we discern? I mean, obviously we can, but how can we make the discernment between, because like you say, you have to give everything up, right? How can we do this in a positive way? Because I think there is a way of doing this in a negative way, of like just running away, and like just running away from the world and just like, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. A clear way to discern whether or not you're suppressing something or letting it go is notice if you are reaching for something else, or if you can just sit. If day after day you need less and less stimulants, this means you're actually letting things go. But if you find you're just replacing something for something else, then you are suppressing it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and it's really, that's how I know this last couple of days. Thank you for saying that, because now that makes me feel much more like sure that what I'm doing is really letting go these last couple of days, because genuinely these last few days, my impulses have decreased massively, especially, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, and that's so true, because over the last however many years, it's felt so impossible to not reach for the phone, to not, watch porn or masturbate. Like, it's just felt like this impossible thing. Like, there was just this force, this powerful, you know what I mean? I had no control over these things. No power there. There was no power there. Like, I could will myself for a few weeks or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna be different, and always I'll end right back. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here to clear that up. I really needed that sort of. Because I have a million of these questions every single day. Do you know what I mean? And I can talk to like my family members, but like they don't know. Like they just think I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just not in there.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not judging. It's just like, I have a million questions every single day, right? And I don't have anyone to ask. So thank you for this.
Yeah. Well, thank you for reaching out and being willing to talk.
Yeah, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, man. Okay. I think this has been a great conversation so far. Is there anything else that you want to bring up while we're here?
I mean, how long are we running? I mean, how?
Well, tops an hour. It's been 42 minutes. But this is, the main point of this is to bring up the root of an issue so you can feel more subtle by the end of the conversation. That's what this is all about. So do you feel that you've reached a point of subtlety and clarity at this point in this conversation?
I definitely feel more clarity than before we started talking.
That's good.
For sure. 100%.
That's good. Cool.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. Well, I have nothing else to say if you don't.
I guess not. No, I guess, yeah, we'll just leave it there.
Cool. Okay, man. Well, I appreciate you joining this call, and I hope that you take the insights we gathered on this call into your life And the last point I want to say to you is that we can maintain our awareness through our system of behavior that we develop for ourselves. So when you have reached a point of being centered in this awareness, you know that that is all you are. The moment you do something that is not of that status, that spiritual status, then it gets lowered and you forget. So the punishment, in a way, this is how I see it, the punishment of poor behaviors, you forget, and you get further and further away from the center. But if you establish yourself at the center and you continually act in alignment with that center, then you remember more and more and more and more in your status of life, not above anyone, but just within yourself. There's a hierarchy of status, of energy and thought and ideas, just within yourself. The more you remember and you act that out, you embody that.
Okay, then I do have another question for
Okay.
you. What? Because you said poor behaviors, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, what is a poor behavior?
So if we have an abundance of a certain resource and we waste it, meaning we don't use that resource, we don't invest it into a reciprocal relationship, then that's a poor behavior. Like we take, how would I put this?
But doesn't that foster guilt? Doesn't that foster guilt?
The poor conduct.
No, but like labeling something as being a poor behavior.
Well, when I say poor, it's not like an emotional sense of poor. It's like literally the reserves of richness that you have, you're wasting it. And how I say the opposite of rich is poor.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like a scarcity, like a non-abundant, like a behavior that is not in line with the source.
Exactly. And
Right.
whenever you behave,
Survival.
yes, and whenever you behave out of line with the source, you are generating your own scarcity.
Right.
And this is the whole problem. So if you behave in alignment with source, now you're generating your own wealth step by step by step. And this isn't just about money. Money will come if you channel it in a certain way, but this is more about the richness of thought, the substance of thought. Maybe that's a better word, substance. You're moving towards more fullness with everything that you do.
Okay.
But you have to be consistent.
Then another question I
Okay.
have
All right.
is, how do you discern? How do you know what behavior is coming from thought, right? Coming from source, sorry. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because I'm just sitting there thinking like, okay, I could go about my day. Do you know what I mean? And like, but like, who is deciding? Like, am I deciding what? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
The way you will know is you feel rejuvenated after the action.
Okay. So is that another thing you could make an audit of? It's like, write down after you do something, do you feel rejuvenated or not? And
Right.
then that way you could like you could determine which actions are coming from do you see what I mean?
That's it. That's what I did. And worked pretty well
Okay.
after lots of suffering.
Okay. I'll try and reduce my suffering then. I don't know if it's
That's it. That's the whole point of this conversation. That's the whole point.
that's the whole point of spirituality, I think. But, yeah. Well, I think that is really the main goal of people, of everyone, right? But people just go about it in a complete wrong way, most people. And in fact end up generating their own suffering rather than reducing it.
That's the whole theme of this conversation. That's the whole theme.
Yeah.
My only position here is to show people how this works based off my own experience. And then they can see, oh, this is where I'm off the mark. This is where I'm on the mark. This is what is giving me energy, and this is what's taking it away. Because really the fundamental currency is energy. So if we can do something that gives us more energy, it seems to be common sense that this is the right thing to do.
As we're talking, I'm now realizing I actually I have so many questions, bro. I'm actually, because then I'm going to start thinking, like, I just looked at myself in the mirror. I realized I'm extremely attached to my physical appearance, like extremely. This has been a major problem for me throughout my life because and I'm not going to take up all your time, like, do you know what I mean? I'm okay. Well, say now it's making me want to have like, actually, yeah. I want to have like actual coaching calls with you now, because I'm realizing possibly I have way more questions than I think I realize, and my pride stops me sometimes, or whatever, my survival emotions can stop me from feeling like I need it, or like being open to receiving help, if that makes sense, or guidance. Right. But realizing actually no, like I have loads of things. I have a million questions and a million concerns and a million things that anyway, I'm really attached to my physical appearance. This is a really big, I don't know if this languaging is a healthy, good way to look at it, but I'm gonna say this is a really big problem. That's a very ego-based way of saying. As I've said that, I know that's a very ego-based way of looking at things. This is a problem for me. This is something that this is something I'm very attached to, basically. It's my physical appearance. And the story behind that, I could give you a story behind it, whether or not it's true, but I think possibly is the fact that I had very low self-esteem for a long time. And then I started getting a lot of attention from females, and I attached my sense of being valued and being worth with my physical appearance. And then I got scouted by a modeling agency, and made it even worse, like, because my sense of it's like I tied my sense of being loved and accepted with my physical appearance. So now, to this day, I tie my sense of self-worth with my physical appearance. Obviously, I don't know. I guess, how can we detach ourselves from our physical appearance?
The key is recognizing that there's something that's more valuable than that. And the attachment here is coming from the fact that your physical appearance, how people react to it in the world, is giving you a jolt of energy, a positivity, and a sense of worth, a sense of hope that things can be done. And this is nothing wrong with that. But when you pay attention to what is within you, you'll find that there is way more positivity. There's way more energy. There's way more value than being attached to your physical body. Because even if somehow, God forbid, you got into an accident and your physical appearance was altered, you could still meditate if you trained and eat well, and you can still feel way more abundant and valuable than you did before the accident. And when you recognize how massive the bliss is by just sitting with your eyes closed, sometimes you will be so blissful in that state, you'll walk outside and not care how you look. Because even if we relate this bliss to being perceived as beautiful, what is really beautiful is the energy behind the physical form anyway. So if you walk around with this beautiful aura, and if you walk outside looking bummy, you might even get more attention, more adoration from people in your life, because this is what we need. This is what rejuvenates us, is the energy, not necessarily the body.
So do you recommend a formal meditation practice? Like, do you think, like, do
Yeah.
and if so, like, how like how much time per day, like how many hours per day, type, like,
Yeah.
and is that just genuinely just mindfulness, just literally just sitting and just paying attention to something? Like, what do you
So first of all, I highly recommend meditation. If I could get everyone to meditate across the entire world, I would do it. It is the absolute most amazing thing that I have experienced in my life is meditation. And it has reprogrammed me to being who I am today. I can't stress the importance of meditation enough. But in terms of how this is done, we can create a story around it with numbers. Everyone understands numbers. And so many people are trying to get to one, which is expression, and doing things with that expression. But what is before one?
zero?
Zero. So many people are skipping over zero. So meditation is about being zero, being nobody, which so many people are scared to do.
Yeah.
But this is done by recognizing what is the fundamental disturbance, which is compulsive thought, and asking and discovering what is the source of this thought. And the source of sound, because that's all a thought is silence. So if you pay attention to silence, then you're there.
Okay.
We can do this through a mantra too, if you don't have lots of experience, because what the thoughts revolve around is the sound I. I want this, I want that, I'm insecure about this, I feel good about this, I lost this, I gained this. It's all about I. So if we consolidate this massive web, this massive complexity that comes from the center of I, and we just focus on I, then we can simplify the whole structure of the mind, and then we can move beyond that into that zero, into the awareness, pure awareness. So the mantra I teach people is so simple. It's just I am. You breathe in, you think I. You breathe out, you think am. You do this over and over again, and you put your mind into a certain rhythm. And then when that is established through repetition, then you're able to gently take your attention away from the sounds of I and am, and you're able to gently shift it into the silence that's beyond it. So that's where it's coming from.
Okay. One final question. It's just genuinely final question.
Okay.
So in meditation, I imagine most people are going to experience a lot of like there's going to be a lot of discomfort when you're first trying to meditate. It's not like you're going to sit down and you're just going to experience bliss.
Nope.
And even if you're, trying to do the mantra of I am, you're probably going to get distracted, or like other sensations are going to come up. What should we do with that? Like, what do we do? Like, are we trying to just ignore whatever comes up and just go back to I am, or can we let ourselves feel what we feel, and like what would you say about it?
You've just got to let things come up on their own. The I am is just a scaffold for the mind itself, but outside of the thought, there's going to be all kinds of things that come up. And this is something that you just have to let it be and let it move through you. Because if you cling to it, now you're behaving as an individual, as an ego who wants to control. But if you're sitting as awareness, you don't do anything about it, you don't engage, you just watch. You see out this window, there's a bird that flies by, you don't try to chase the bird, you just watch and say, wow, that's a nice bird. And you just let it go and it's gone. So it's the same thing. And we can prepare to become meditative in the world through our behavior and the choices that we make. We can make certain choices of diet that naturally calm us down. We can speak to people in a certain way that invites more empathy. We can wear certain clothes that make us more in tune with the earth, like wearing natural fiber clothes. And we can, if we have the ability to do this, we can pick a job that is in line with our actual values and not with some kind of brainwashed program.
But
And
is any of this, like, do you believe that this is necessary? Or can we do this? Can we not do any of that and still be meditative?
you can, but you need a lot of willpower and you need a lot of resolve to just jump from compulsive behavior, not tweak anything about your life and just sit. That would take a very strong individual.
Yeah.
And not everyone is built like that, and that's all right.
No. I see it.
Yeah. But the fundamental practice you can do is just being aware of where your attention is going. That is the fundamental practice. And you'll find that if you are watching your attention, which can be exhausting at first, because usually we just let our attention run unconsciously all over the place. And when we start to become conscious, we recognize how often our attention is shifting from this to this to this. And this is what is causing the fatigue, because there's a lack of consolidation of energy. We're pointing our attention here, our energy is flowing in this direction, then it's flowing in this direction, and this direction, and this direction, and this is what's causing fatigue.
Yeah.
So
I do find it really hard to focus.
yeah, it's a muscle. So if you learn how to strengthen that muscle of focus in the world, and then you move beyond the world through meditation, it'll be a lot easier to become meditative. It's not easy.
Yeah. Well. So okay. No, I need to let you go. I need to let you go.
Okay.
But I mean, no. All right. This is like a closing question. All right. This is. I know I said the last time, but at this point in your life, would you say you still struggle? Like, would you say that things feel difficult?
No, I wouldn't say that. I say there's effort that I need to put in that I've never put in before. So the level of energy I need to exert has increased. But am I strained by it? No, because that's self-created. The tightness, it doesn't have to be there. You can work hard on something without being tight. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, brother. Well, I guess I don't wanna. I guess it's been an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how long we've been recording.
An hour. Yeah. No, this has been a great conversation. So, once again, I appreciate you being willing to be on the show and be vulnerable to explain all the things you did, and I hope you got your key questions answered, because that's what this is all about. You still there? I cannot hear you. Hello. Okay, guess he left. Okay, well, that was another episode of Shadow Work. Hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. It's a lot to take in. It is a lot to take in. But I really appreciate that people from all around the world are willing to evolve in their own way. There's so much chaos going on today, but what I have found is that if we pay attention to building a sense of order, then that is what we will perceive in our life. And the more people who make that choice, the more order that we'll have. So disorder is not an inevitable thing. There are things we have to manage. But we don't have to suffer. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is not. And with that, I will see you on the next episode. Peace.